I have cut out 18 equilateral triangles, each 7 inch on a side. I chose that because my cloth was 21 inches wide, so that made it easy. And of these 18 triangles, there are 3 patterns, so 6 of each pattern. And I have laid them out so they match this template that we found online by searching for a Flexigon template. And so we just matched up one pattern from the cloth with one pattern from the template until they resemble one another. We're going to sew together the 2 strips independently of one another, and then we will sew the strips together. On the back of each triangle, I have traced a 5.5 inch equilateral triangle, and when I pinned these together, I made sure that those lines lined up. And so this is going to be where the seam goes around. I've also clipped the corners of the triangles, and this way when the edge folds over, we don't have anything sticking out. It just goes right along the edge there, and so that makes it easier once everything is sewn together. Now that I have my 2 strips complete, I've put 5.5 inch on a side equilateral triangles of quilting batting, 2 layers, on 9 of the triangles and the longer strip. The 2 end strips are going to come around and meet each other when we finish the pillow, so the last one doesn't need any batting on it. Okay, now that I have the batting on the back of the longer strip, I'm going to lay the pieces down and compare them again to the template to make sure that all the colors will line up. So my purple there lines up with the turkeys, the green and orange stripes line up with the fall leaves, and the pumpkins line up with the pink, so I'm good to go. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold over the short onto the back of the long and then sew the edge together. I'm going to sew both the edge across the bottom and across the top so that I'll have a tube, and then I'll turn it inside out to finish sewing the edges together. So at this point I will have the edges here, and this on the turkey, as well as here and here, as well as this on the fall leaves that will need to be stitched after I turn it right side out. Okay, now that we have this stitched into place, we are ready to turn this into our hexagon cushion, and this is the tricky part. We are going to fold over a portion to make one of the patterns line up. So let's try getting all of our fall leaves to line up. So we fold this over. So now we have 3 of them. And then we're going to take this and fold it over again. And so those line up there. And now we have this last piece that doesn't quite seem to fit. And this is where we need to stitch together our last bit. So first we're going to let the part that's already stitched fall behind. We're going to let this cushioning piece come in here. And then we're going to fold this back in. So now we have all of those pieces into the hexagon and it looks right. And we can just check the other side is also appropriately put together. Okay, but we are going to have to stitch these 2. So remember we had the batting attached to one end, and then this was the other end that didn't have batting. We're going to have to stitch those triangles together. So if you are brave, you can try and use some machine stitching, but otherwise you can just hand stitch around. You'll have to do this edge here and this edge here, and you will also find that this edge is going to need to be stitched over to here. So we have 1, 2, 3 edges that need to be stitched here. Once you have stitched this last flap into place, you are ready to flex your Flexigon pillow. So you can bring the middle up. Easier to do with 2 hands. And then just open it out. And as you open it out, you should see the pattern that was hidden on the inside appear. What was on top moves to the bottom. And then you can do the same thing again. And you have your first pattern here and your third pattern there.